Easy does it. So I'm sure all of you, especially those of you in America, have heard the phrase, easy does it. And it generally means slow down, breathe, and do it more gently, and it will all click into place just fine. Easy does it. How true that is. Yet you live in a culture and society that has brainwashed you into believing that applying massive amounts of pressure, shame, guilt, hurriedness, stress, and threats of punishment or self-punishment and ruin as a motivator instead of simply applying your calm, present focus. So it's trying to use all of that to motivate you from fear instead of simply applying your calm, present focus. You actually know the power of this ease in your life already. You use it all the time. But when it comes to big stuff, things that you have a lot of conflicting feelings around, it's much harder to do and much easier to slip into the default pressure and stress. But how you built it is how it will be. In other words, if you build whatever you're building with stress and pressure, so building your life, building your business with stress and pressure, it will be stress and pressure. But if you build it with ease and peace, it will be ease and peace. What you put into it is what comes out of it in some way. Now, that does not mean that challenges and stress won't come up. There's no such thing as not having a life where things don't happen. But it means that you have to be conscious of your response to those things is all. And choose the experience you want to create instead with intention. And that sounds simple enough, but that is not the way that you were raised. You were raised to believe that the best you could ever do is react and just deal with your reaction, i.e., feel whatever your feelings are and just get through it. But the buck stops there. You have not been taught that the power of your awareness of your reaction includes the power to change it, and that changing it changes your whole life. So how do you change it? Well, my experience is you can't change it until you examine your underlying beliefs that are causing it. In my experience, you cannot just will your way into change. You have to undo the stories that are holding it up, or at the very least, show your brain the evidence to the opposite. Show your brain the opposite evidence for the stories it believes, at the very least. So for an example of all of this, let's say there's a woman named Mabel. And Mabel has a pretty successful business, but every time she gets a little bit ahead, something breaks down or goes wrong. Some kind of bad, challenging thing happens, and she has to deal with some whole other nightmare. Mabel's story about this is that this is just the way life is. As soon as you get ahead, you get knocked on your ass and you get humbled to remind you that this is how life is. So as soon as you think you can trust someone, they let you down. As soon as you make more, it all goes out the window. This is Mabel's story. She has accepted this as the truth about life. She expects it now. And when she sees people like Brenna, who also has a pretty successful business, who seems to be experiencing much more ease with the growth in her life and business, she tells herself that Brenna is a fraud and hiding the reality of her experience. And at the same time, she flops back and forth between that and blaming herself and feeling like something must be secretly just wrong with her because she can't seem to do that like Brenna does. But here is the thing. There is no real difference between Mabel and Brenna except their perception of life and life's events. Brenna also experiences breaks and things going wrong and challenges and extra expenses sometimes. It is just that Brenna does not believe the same things about those events as Mabel does. And because of that, she feels more ease. And because she feels more ease, she handles things with more ease, and solutions appear to her sooner and with more ease. She recovers faster. She returns to herself sooner, because she's not locked up into a painful story and thus recreating the experience of that pain. She is more available to take the learning from the situation, if it's there, and convert it into solutions without shame or self-blame or feeling that something or someone or life is out to get her or maybe punish her or humble her or teach her a lesson. Mabel does not know that she is actually deeply uncomfortable being successful and having more than enough, and being a leader or a boss instead of one who just serves others. She doesn't realize that when things go wrong, it puts her back with her people. It makes her feel like she's one of us and one of the good ones who doesn't have it easy like those other people. And Mabel wants to be good. She wants to be a comfort to others, not a threat. And she realizes that when she is successful and things are going really well for her, it's threatening to others. It makes them uncomfortable. She knows how this feels because she's done it too. She's felt that way too, looking at other people when she wasn't doing so good. When someone comes in the room and tells you how amazing their life is, and you just feel, and you feel small and you feel bad, we all know how that is. And Mabel doesn't want anyone to feel small or bad around her ever. So Mabel keeps herself small by feeling bad through these challenges so they won't feel alone. So she doesn't abandon her people. She experiences challenges in her life and business as deep pain and kind of like a slap on the wrist and a reminder to stay small and feel bad and have it hard so she can still relate and be relatable and fit in and feel like she's one of the good ones, one of the good guys. She believes her struggle keeps her safe from punishment on some very deep level. Now, Brenna has the same things happen to her as Mabel does, but she has examined her stories about that. She has freed herself of the guilt and shame that keeps her response in that patterning. She feels worthy of ease now because of that, because she's undone the stories that told her she had to earn it by being or not being a certain way. She sees her responses to events and she questions them. Once her emotional charge has been cleared, she sees solutions that she hadn't previously seen right before her eyes. She trusts that it's a hiccup and that all the resources she needs will be there for her. She is free to choose that only because she has examined the opposing stories and seen that they aren't actually really true. She loves and stays with herself even though others may see her in ways she does not like. She allows them to think that of her, and she knows it's none of her business. She shows herself that she's there for herself on a regular basis by choosing what she needs, despite what other people think. Brenna believes the challenges are simply an invitation to examine what she is believing about reality and to adjust that belief if necessary so she can come back home to peace in herself. So the only difference between them is the stories they believe about themselves and life, and the attachment to those stories because they are unquestioned. The only difference between these two women is their perception. The only difference between them is the alchemization of shame into freedom, love, and joy, or fear into freedom, love, and joy. Both women are actually getting exactly what they need and want. Mabel's current need is to belong and to be loved and to be seen as good. And that need is currently stronger for her at the moment. But she can change it any time that she's ready to. That need is currently stronger than her need for ease, is what I mean to say. But she can change that anytime she's ready to. These women simply have different perspectives. And how we perceive something is what it becomes. This is not just BS. This is a scientific principle that when particles are observed, it affects their behavior. The observer affects the observed. Our perception affects reality. The lens we are looking through alters the reality we are looking at. So how do you slow down and move more gently and breathe and trust that all will click into place? By being more aware of all the pressure in your head that tells you otherwise. By questioning it, or by simply watching it and not acting or reacting on it as you might have in the past. Nothing in this world or life is just the way it is. Nothing. Everything is shaped by the observer. Even the sky looks green to someone who is colorblind. Even death is just life to someone else. We do not experience the same reality, none of us. And it is meant to be that way. We each have our own version of it to explore and to create in our own way. It's what we're here for. Or at least that's my version of reality anyway. But I'm guessing if you're here, then you share my passion for that on some level. So if you'd like some help working with those underlying stories and discovering your own clarity in your own direction, you know where to find me. sunnychapman.com/work-with-me. See you next week. Bye.